Bloody Mary
Welcome to the Bloody Married podcast, where we talk about all things horror while drinking a Bloody Mary. I'm Jesse.
And I'm Tammy. And we are totally married. Yeah. We got our Bloody Marys, and tonight for our retro review, we're doing Dr. Giggles.
Dr. Giggles, right here on VHS if you're watching.
Yeah. So this movie came out in 1992, about 31 years ago, which, what the fuck? I feel old. And also, fucking spoilers, guys.
Yeah.
Spoilers. If you haven't seen it in 31 years,
right?
Tough shit.
Yeah, right.
We're spoiling it.
Tough titties.
Tough titties.
Go watch it. Merchandise. We have merch. We have an Amazon wish list if you'd like to support us. We have some smaller things like Bloody Mary mixes and some tiki mugs, up to some bigger stuff like film equipment, audio equipment to make our podcast even better. So if you'd like to support us, go check that out and get us some stuff, and we'll do a shout out and have whatever you got us here on the podcast.
Yeah.
Also, if you want, we have merch. We have shirts and cups and beanies and all that kind of stuff. Just go to www.bloodymarriedpodcast.com and check it out. There's links to everything there.
Yeah.
So your support would be very much appreciated.
It would.
So, Dr. Giggles.
Yeah, let's get into it.
This is directed by Manny Cotto, and it is about a madman who believes he's a doctor, comes to a town where his crazy father was killed, and soon begins murdering people and becomes infatuated with a teenage girl who has a heart condition. And this stars Larry Drake and a lot of...
And Holly Marie Combs, Baby Piper from Charm.
Is that who that is?
Yeah.
And also a really underrated actor named Cliff Day Young. He's really, really great in this amazing sci-fi horror film called Pulse. He's a good actor. I feel like a few actors are wasted here. And also, Doug E. Doug is in this. Do you remember that guy?
I do.
He was Sanka from Cool Runnings. And also, he was in Class Act and a lot of early 90s stuff. Mm-hmm. And kind of like early 90s. Okay, so this 1992. So this is an interesting time, I think, for horror films. The 90s before Scream.
Right.
Because we're done with the 80s, and that had its own feel to it. So now we're into the 90s where people don't really know what quite to do, and they're doing different things.
Trying it out, seeing what sticks, what works in the 90s.
I would love to just do a visit of like pre-Scream 90s horror films.
Ooh, yes,
because they're all over the place.
And rank them and see which ones we like the best.
So Dr. Giggles is one of those, and I feel like there's more 80s in this one.
There is a little bit, yeah, because I remember in the beginning you're like, wait, is this like late 80s or is this like early 90s, early 90s? But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was entertaining.
Yeah, it was still entertaining for sure. Yeah, and okay, so we watched this just not too long ago, and that's the first time you've seen it.
It is the first time.
You hadn't seen this in these 30-some years.
I hadn't seen it in 31 years.
But I saw this. It had to be like, I'm pretty sure it premiered on HBO whenever they got it, late at night, and I watched it then. And it was always on cable on HBO growing up. So it was always around, and I've had it on VHS for many years. And it's one of those that I'll pop in, like if I'm working, if I'm doing some editing or some writing. That's one of like the many that I like to have on in the background to just just be playing.
Ambiance.
Yeah. What did you think of it? What did you think of Larry Drake as Dr. Giggles?
I think he was fun. I think his giggle was creepy, and
it was.
And his character was fun and funny.
Yeah.
It wasn't scary.
Yeah.
It was more like...
He was goofy.
He
was like a cartoon character.
Yes.
Right?
A cartoon character that went around murdering people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of makes me want to think of like, what would this movie be like if it had a more traditional, serious actor in it? Like, someone who's not big and aloof and goofy, but someone who like took a different route and went serious with it.
Ooh. I mean, that could be a fun one to, if you're going to remake and like put your own, like, and also like the gore and the kills are kind of, you don't see a whole lot.
I think though,
it's very kind of tamped down a little bit.
From what I understand, that was the MPAA. I think that they had some really fun, really gory kills, and they liked to murder movies back then.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this, like, if you're going to give me like a top 20 list of films that I would remake, this would be on there. I think doing a Dr. Giggles remake would be a lot of fun.
It would. I think you could make it creepier, but
Yeah.
also make it fun. You can throw that humor in there.
Yeah, you could go both directions.
Because it's like
Yeah.
Dr. Giggles, but
yeah, you could either ham it up and, you know, go even sillier, but you could always like take it more serious.
I think I would really like to see a more serious, have those moments of levity, but, you know, crank it up a little bit. Make him more I mean, he's psychotic, but it comes off more cartoony, sarcastic than...
Yeah, because it starts with, like, the movie starts with the insane asylum breakout, right?
Right.
So he escapes from the mental institution. So he's just nuts.
Right. I do like the opening scene in that, like, the operating room, and then the observation where all of the people, because at first you're like, oh, they're just observing, and then you realize they're insane asylum patients. So that was, I like that set. I like that whole setup.
You know, just thinking about it, I saw this director, he wrote, I think, a Tales from the Crypt episode, and there's one that has that in there to where it's like a group of escaped mental patients that are, you don't know that until the end. So this guy answers a thing in the paper to be an actor for a stage play. And the reveal at the end is these aren't actors, that the location was actually an insane asylum and they have gotten loose. And I wonder if that's the same writer as this. I bet it is. But anyways, what were your favorite parts of this movie? Least favorite parts?
I would say the beginning is one of my favorites, just because I really liked the opening scene. I liked I liked the story, like his dad was like the town killed him because he was a crazy doctor that killed a bunch of people, and their little like nursery rhyme type thing to warn you off from the house.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was fun.
Had like the tropes of like kind of 80s tale in there.
Right. So it weaved a little bit of that. I always love to see people I watched, like Holly Marie Combs, and like they're, you know, one of her first acting roles when she's a baby, when they're super young. It's always fun to see.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't like, oh my God, this is so great. Because it was like, okay, like I felt like some of the kills could have been like way better. Yeah. And at some parts of it, I felt like her level of like, oh my God, was pretty like muted. Yeah. You know, they were like running, but not really running, you know, and like running in that fun house was a fun scene. It was. Yeah. But I felt like her urgency was like kind of muted. Like you should be a little more like scared and freaked out.
Yeah. There's some moments that didn't make sense. Like when the boyfriend was just out making out hard with some other chick. Oh yeah. And then he, like, you're supposed to just instantly like forgive him. Like, oh, I'm sorry, babe. And then like suddenly it's all better. Right. Because he's coming to save you. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry I did this, but I saved the day. Yeah. Fuck you. Right. Fuck you. Fuck you. I just found you making out on the floor with fucking Sally or whatever her name was with the big tits. Oh yeah, because that was in band practice, right? And she was like getting her reed wet. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I mean, come to the band room. Okay. Just come to the. Oh, she left because she's upset because her mom died. She has to have open heart surgery, and her dad married some 20-year-old girl named Tammy. I'm pretty sure the. But you know what? Like, dude's got to get his rocks off. It's high school. Come on. Okay. Yeah. All right. Fuck you. Save the day. I'm going to save the day. No, you can go now. I'll find someone else to save the day, or I'll save myself. Thank you. Yeah. Like, so when I was in high school, grade school, I played clarinet. And one of the benefits of that was like I was sitting with the clarinet section and the saxophone section, and predominantly, at least in my school, the people that played those were all females, and so you have to wet the reed. So that's the thing. Teenage. So you look down, and it's like a whole bunch of chicks going, and then you look down, and you hear a bunch of chicks going, and all like, your teenage hormones are like, oh my God, hide this boner. So I really connected to that scene, and I understood him in that moment. You understood him in that moment. In that moment, I understood that character's name. I felt for him. Also, like, I'm just gonna call her Baby Piper. I think her name was Jennifer in this, but like, I wouldn't want to have open heart surgery as every time this tries to happen, some maniac tries to kill me, because it happened to her twice. Really? Yes. Oh yeah.
the first time she wakes up and she's in his makeshift operating room.
Yeah.
And then the second time where you think she's saved and she's going to get her heart fixed because she's been through this stressful thing and like, and then he's there again because he didn't die.
Yeah, if you don't know the main character, she has a heart condition. And part of the killer's thing is that his dad was going around like killing women to take their hearts to try and save his wife, the killer's mother's heart. So that's kind of why the doctor had wanted to operate on her.
He wanted to save her.
And I swear to God, I think I got like Berenstein Bairded. But I always swore that he did. I in my head, and maybe it's an alternate take or maybe I'm just making it up, but in like the very end, like you think he's dead or whatever, and then she wakes up and her heart has been operated on and it's fixed and he did it before, like
maybe it is an alternate take.
Like in my head, he did fix her heart. Like I remember, and I was like, oh, but it didn't happen. It didn't happen at all.
No, we watched it.
And I thought that would be a cool thing to where like, no, he actually fixes her heart. Like he's insane and stuff, but he actually did it.
Right.
And so that would be like her moving on and living because
the
it would be a weird conundrum inside of her because she's alive now.
The conflict.
Yeah. Oof. So remake, I would do that for sure.
Also, things I liked about it was as a kid. So when the town is coming to kill his dad, they're like, but the kid escaped and we don't know how. That scene was disturbing. That was disturbing as shit. Out of nowhere. Dad sewed him inside his mom's carcass.
Yeah.
And then he just busts out again like
with a scalpel.
With a
and then pops out.
He's giving himself a C-section at 7. Like,
and then the cop is just like, ugh.
The cop is like, holy fucking shit, like that would be traumatizing.
Yeah.
Like that was creepy as fuck.
I know.
And also at the end where because he took her to the clinic where his dad had a whole medical clinic in their basement.
So that's interesting. That like I found that to be interesting. Was that a thing? So it was this huge rundown mansion, but then house. It looked like a mansion, but then the doctor had his practice was in the house.
I think so. Probably
maybe in smaller
like
towns.
A small town.
But could you get away with that today?
I don't think you could get away. Maybe in small towns. I don't know. We don't live in a small town. But
I mean, like, do you have to have a separate building to where you live to operate your practice?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But I thought that was a really cool mechanic.
There was, and I like how he set up all his victims in the waiting room. In the waiting room,
yeah. That's a classic 80s horror thing.
That was a classic 80s. That was like a Jason like presenting his
There's like
trophies.
I think the Happy Birthday to Me, they do that. There's so many. I did that in Night of the Witch because they all did it at the end. You present like your characters that are...
Where did the dead bodies go?
Where are all the bodies?
That's always a fun reveal though. When you know like, okay, he's killed 3 people. Where did they put these bodies? What are we gonna like? How are they gonna reveal them? So that was fun when like the cop goes through and he's like, oh my god, like oh shit,
in the waiting room,
the waiting room, finding all the victims. So that was fun. I liked that ending, and then really the goriest, coolest part was him busting out of his mom's carcass.
I really liked the shot of when he was inside the mouth.
Oh yeah, they had fun shots.
That was because they made he's like doing this tongue depression thing, whatever. He's looking inside someone's mouth. Then it cuts to the camera's POV inside the mouth. And so what they did is they built a huge inside of a mouth and put the camera there.
Right.
Which was super cool.
That was cool.
I love that shot for sure.
They had some fun shots.
Michelle Johnson was the mom in this, and she's hot, and I wish she had more screen time.
She was mom?
She was the bitchy mom, yeah.
The stepmom.
Yeah.
Like, that's... Okay. And her name... I'm pretty sure her name was Tammy.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure.
That's why.
Okay, sure. Fine, whatever.
Yeah.
But she pissed me off because she was like,
she's a piece of shit character.
She's totally. The dad's like, I have to go find her, and she's like, oh my god, like just get over it. Like,
get over your daughter.
Get over your daughter who has a heart condition, who you just found a bottle of booze.
Yeah.
She took off her heart monitor.
Yeah.
And there's someone trying to kill her.
And then
just get over it. Oh my god, she's a sweet teenager with dramatic. Oh my god, shut the fuck up.
And then he was like, "Are you gonna come with and help look for her?" And she's like, "No,
of course not. I'm gonna go home and stay home and eat ice cream. Then I'm gonna get sucked out of my body."
Yeah,
later.
But then the doctor, shows up and like liposections it out of her or something. Yeah. So that was really cool. I wish I would have saw more of the kills.
Yes, I'm sad that you didn't get.
Yeah.
Really to see the kills.
Yeah, but what's interesting is there's a Blu-ray coming out, and I think it's came out like a new Blu-ray. And I think it has a lot of cool stuff on there that I'd like to check out. And I couldn't find it anywhere online yet because I think the Blu-ray just came out of Dr. Giggles, where it has like a behind-the-scenes interview with the director. I think it has commentary from Larry Drake or an interview. I think it has alternate scenes, and I think it has alternate endings.
Well, maybe there's your alternate ending where he does fix her heart.
Maybe I'm super curious, and I kind of just want to buy the Blu-ray just to check out the special features.
Yeah. Do it.
Which maybe we should have done before the podcast, but oh well.
But if you couldn't find it, then I mean, who could fault you?
Well, I couldn't find it. I couldn't. I mean, like
you said you couldn't find it.
The Blu-ray?
Yes.
No, I was talking about I couldn't. Like I was hoping that they had put that stuff on YouTube so I could just watch it without buying it.
Gotcha.
And I couldn't find that stuff. But yes, you can find the Blu-ray.
All right.
For purchase, for like $29.99. Have your very own Dr. Giggles Blu-ray. So there you go. If you guys want to support us, get us a Dr. Giggles Blu-ray. It'll be on the Amazon wish list. It'll be on the very top. Get that for us.
Yeah, so we can see if he was Berenstain Bears or not.
And then we'll do a follow-up. We'll do a follow-up of Dr. Giggles, and we'll plug you, whoever you are, that bought us this Blu-ray. And we'll see if I got Berenstain Baird or not.
I think that's called the Mandela effect, but I like the Berenstain Bears.
Yeah.
I've been Berenstain
Is it Berenstein or Berenstein?
I don't know.
I
always thought it was Berenstain Bears, but maybe it's not.
It's the Berensteiners. The Berenstein Bears.
Bears who live in a tree.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't really change the books, does it?
It really doesn't, no.
Yeah. But I really could have swore part of the ending was he fixed her heart.
Maybe it was. Because you know what? Sometimes what happens is like they'll put them on TV and they'll put a different ending on TV.
Yeah, I know. It's happened before.
Crybaby, which
making
is
it all up.
One of my favorite movies. Yeah. If you watch it on television, they have scenes that are different than when you watch it on the VHS or the DVD. Like they have different scenes. Because I remember like as a kid watching that VHS all the time, and then it was on TV, and I was like, where the fuck was that scene? I've seen this movie like a million fucking times.
And it's just different.
Where is this? That what?
Yeah.
But it's only when you watched it on TV that it had those scenes. So maybe that was some like an ending then. I don't know.
I'm trying to think of like what I'd do if I remade it. I don't know.
What would you do?
I don't know.
I don't know, but you should think about it and then pitch it.
Yeah, I should. I don't know if it would take place in modern time or it would take place back then and just remake it then. It'd be fun to do a prequel with the dad. It would be fun to do his story of going around and killing people for their hearts, and then you end up sewing your kid into the body of your wife.
Right. Dr. Giggles origins.
Well, yeah, that would be.
I mean, essentially, it is.
The ending of that would be the boy hops out of the dead body, and like that would be the end. I think.
Right, and then you get Dr. Giggles 2, which is the movie.
Or just do a direct sequel. Yeah, Dr. Giggles 2, and I believe Larry Drake is dead, R.I.P. But you could just have another character play him, and he's still alive out there.
Yeah.
How did they kill him again?
She killed him by he stepped into a puddle of water.
And then he had a really cartoony like death, like
and then she put the heart paddles on the floor. Yeah, and then all of this electricity came and then killed him.
Yeah. Well, didn't he have like a couple different deaths? Right.
Yeah.
You think
they thought
they blow him up.
You think they blew him up in the house.
Yeah,
the cop did. Yeah. And then she goes in to have her surgery, and then she's going, like, they just put the anesthesia on her, and she's starting to drift off, and he's like, and she was like, oh, hell no. And then she, like, got the fuck out again, and then he chased her. Yeah. And then she killed him by electrocuting him.
Yeah. I don't know. It'd be a fun challenge to remake Dr. Giggles, I think.
I think it would be a fun challenge. I'd like to see that.
Get maybe someone younger, I think, would be a different way to go. Mm-hmm. It's hard to do it, I guess, without leaning into Joker territory, right?
That's true.
So I think, a Joker wasn't really a big thing back then in pop culture. I think we had Batman then already.
Did we have Tim Burton Batman?
Yeah, that was in the 80s. I think we had Batman Returns too. So there wasn't as prevalent because just that character kind of screams a little, just giggling like that Jokerish
psychotic
stuff.
Yeah.
But there's a way you could do it.
I think there is.
Yeah.
I would like to see that. So
Yeah.
someone, either you, I need to write it for me, or someone needs to remake it for me.
Dr.
Because
Giggles
I think
2.
that would be fun to redo. That is one that
Yeah.
could be redone that no one really knows about, but you can make
Yeah.
it even cooler
Dr.
and show some
Giggles.
cool kills.
Dr. Giggles 2 chuckles. Or what's the laughing gas? Dr. Giggles 2 helium. I don't know. Anyways, what would you rate it out of 10 Bloody Marys?
I think I would give it a 5.
You know what? I was going to give it the same thing, 5. Yeah. Not too interesting. We agree on this one. There's not a extreme of
Yeah.
you love it, I hate it kind of thing.
No, it was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun to see the pre-scream after the 80s.
Yeah.
You know, I always enjoy watching those ones to like, because
Yeah.
they're ones that I haven't really seen either.
Mhm.
So it's fun to like see what they were trying to do before
Yeah.
that hit.
I think I find that interesting in all media, in all like eras and cultures, to where there's something like extreme like this, like 80s happen, 80s slasher is defined. 1996 on to 2000 is defined with Scream and that kind of stuff. But there's this time before it that wasn't. And like, what is it?
Right.
What were they trying to do in that time? Kind of like the 80s butt rock, and then grunge came and wiped it out. But in between there's these couple crossover years where some albums were made, and it's, so those moments in culture I think is really interesting. Or like you know, then getting beyond like the 90s slasher when that kind of ended, and then you're into the early 2000s before we really got into like before we got deep into like the torture porn of Saw, and we went more, you know, brutal with Hostel and Rob
Right.
Zombie stuff. There was still these few years there where
You didn't
where
quite know what to
slashers were
do.
petering out.
Yeah.
Before
and then they were,
that hit.
Well, and then they were doing the weird, like the technology change
Yeah.
too. And you're like, this looks weird.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So maybe we could do some podcasts kind of on that stuff. I think would be really interesting. At least
That would
I'm
be interesting.
super interested in
No,
that.
I agree with that. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
It's fun to see like the differences where you come off the cultural
Yeah.
shift, and then what happens in between before a new
Yeah.
one.
Because stuff does happen in
It
between
does.
there, like Dr. Giggles. So, have you seen Dr. Giggles? What do you think about it? Do you have a place in your heart for it? Have you not seen it? Have you seen it? Do you hate it? And it's like,
Yeah, and would you like to see it remade? And if you do, who would you cast?
Who would you cast as Dr. Giggles? Oh,
Yeah.
God, we can think about that real quick. Dr. Giggles, I mean, Bruce Campbell, come on. He'd be fun. I'm just going
would
to
be
throw that
fun.
out there for an older Dr. Giggles around the same, not the same build, but somewhere around there.
Gosh,
What are you going to do?
I don't know.
You're going to do Twilight, aren't you? What is
Yeah,
it?
Robert Pattinson.
Robert
We're just going to
Pattinson
throw
as
Robert
Dr. Giggles?
Pattinson as Dr. Giggles.
Love it. But they could, you know, your shirt, Terrifier. All right, you could have a Dr. Giggles Terrifier crossover.
Oh,
Boom. Sold.
there you go.
Right? Why aren't I in those studios running shit?
Yeah, why not? Let's get you in there. I want to see some stuff.
Terrifier versus Dr. Giggles, like Freddy versus Jason. All right.
Terrifier.
So that's about it. Buy us the Dr. Giggles Blu-ray, and our Bloody Marys are pretty much dead.
And so are we. Drink in moderation. Bye-bye.
See you later, guys. Blu-ray. Bye.